Hello, and thank you for joining us here on Voices of Vision, Stories of Soul. And this is an interview series and podcast that I have put together to bring friends that I have had experiences with that have changed my life in some way, and just bring them all together in this way. It's a series that celebrates dreamers, healers, and creators, shaping a more conscious world. Through heartfelt conversations, we uncover wisdom, purpose, and magic that move the soul and inspire transformation. And I just wanted to say that we're available on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, and it's recording to YouTube as well. So thank you very much. I just wanted to say as well that we'd like to take a moment to show our respects to the Bunurong people, part of the Eastern Kulin Nation. We show our respects to all elders past and present. And thank you for being here and listening. Our guest today is Christina Richter. Did I say that right? Richter?
Close enough.
Yes. Okay, beautiful.
Close enough. Yeah.
Is it?
That's okay.
I did listen this morning to some other introductions to try and speed up the ability, because people's names are important. But it's
No, Richter is fine.
Richter. Beautiful. Okay.
In German, you need to roll the R's, and even I can't do that. So it's all good.
Christine is an award-winning author linking psychology, body, spirit, and astrology. She has astrology in consulting. She's a medical astrologer and an Ayurvedic practitioner, and has been a nurse for 30 years. She runs a practice in New Zealand with clients from all over the world, as well as locally within the seasonal markets. And we're here today to talk about Christina's books, Your Astrological Health and Learn to Self-Heal. They're my two favourites. Christina,
thank you. It's so nice for you to say that.
Thank you very much for being here. And if you could tell us about when astrology first started to work for you in your life and increase your own self-expression.
Okay, well, my when I was a child, my stepmother used to read the stars in New Zealand. We had the Morning Dominion, right? If those of you that are tuning in from New Zealand, if you can remember the Dominion, and in the evening we had the Evening Post, where she would get the Dominion. She'd send me to the shops every morning to get the bread and come home with the paper so she could read her stars.
I love that.
Now, yeah, so that was my very, very first take on astrology. Didn't know much about it. Then after that, I was about to go into nursing, but at the same time, I had a opportunity to become a dancer and to actually, um, you know, ingress into the show business area with modeling and filming and acting. Like I had an opportunity to do that. And it was just at the same time that I was applying for nursing. And I'd been accepted for nursing, and I had this amazing opportunity on the other hand. So I went to an astrologer, right? It was a decision I couldn't make because I have a moon in Leo and I've always loved dancing. And even in my 60s now, I turn on the YouTube and I get there in front of the TV and I dance away for a bit of exercise and I'm a strong Neptune girl, so I love my music. Okay, so for me, that's just a very natural part of my life. So wanting to be a dancer was something that I always wanted to do. I always loved the ballet, watching it growing up, and all the rest of it. Now the astrologer was really interesting. He said he could see in my chart where I had both passions, but he felt that the dancing was more of a balance for my work of service, which was the nursing. And looking at it now with astrology eyes, like, many, many years later, I can see with my 10th house cusp, for those that know astrology, my 10th house cusp in the sign of Cancer, my and Mars is up there as well on my 10th house cusp, my MC, which is all about trauma. And I was a trauma nurse, an ICU trauma nurse for 25 of my 30 plus years. I've got a North Node in Virgo, which is all about being of service this lifetime round. My Hygeia that rules is an asteroid that rules healing is right on my ascendant. So there were so many significators which were really clear that my path of service, however I chose to do that, was the way for me to go. And he felt that my dancing was to balance up my service with my joy and my passion of dancing. And as it turned out, he was right. Now, it never occurred to me to be an astrologer at that point, but I went through my training and everything, and then I was on night duty, and I needed something to stay awake because the nights were long. I was in a geriatric ward, and it wasn't very busy. You were just turning them and getting them up for medications and taking them to the bathroom. And in those days, if you were found asleep, you were fired on the spot.
Ooh.
Pretty
Okay.
harsh.
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
back many years here.
Yeah.
So I needed to do something to keep me awake. So before the times of computers, there was pen and paper. Do you remember that?
Unfortunately I do. Yes, I'll be there for
Okay. So
that.
learning was done through pen and paper as in a letter, and you send it off. So I applied to a correspondence, the Stotts Correspondence School in Melbourne, Australia, to do astrology.
Okay.
And I did my level 1 astrology via correspondence.
Okay.
And I was doing it at work to keep me awake.
Oh,
And
okay.
when I got into it, I felt, oh my God, I really love this. And
Mm.
it's something like I was in I was one of the top students that was doing it at the time. And with my dyslexic mindset, doing astrology for me and understanding the patterns and the story that unfolds with everybody's chart was something that was a natural a natural ability that I had that I didn't know I had.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
So
you think
sometimes you fall into something and it actually brings out a gift.
do you think it's a healing science? Like, could you describe
Oh,
astrology?
yeah, definitely. Definitely. A healing science. Yes, because the father of modern medicine back in the day, Hippocrates from the island of Kos in Greek, he was an astrologer and a surgeon.
Yeah.
He knew that the moon tides would increase hemorrhaging, and because the body fluids, they tend to be more overwhelming for the body. So any surgeries at that time, you normally had a lot more body hemorrhaging. And I actually put this to the test when I was a surgical nurse or working in intensive care, where I worked with heart transplants and heart surgery, which was my main field. On the full moon, a couple of days before leading up to the full moon, this is what happened. Excess of blood loss, more than normal, confusion in the patients, because anesthetics can bring confusion in a young person, not so bad, but in older people, and the kind of surgery was usually on the older people, then they would get more confused because the anesthetic wasn't being removed from the body as quickly because the body system's closed down.
Yeah. Is that, I
There
mean,
were a lot more, there was a lot more incidences of mishaps round about that time. And not only that, emotionally, relatives, as well as the patients, as well as the nursing staff and medical staff, the emotional outbursts and was usually a lot higher. So
yeah.
after that, I made a point of not working on a full moon. Once I realized the pattern, I would always get my days off at the full moon time.
Okay. I was just going to say that full moon, it really reflects in our tides. That's just one way that you can not underestimate the power of the moon. And that's just so interesting. And I was just going to add to that, that I also enjoyed my coursework with you and learning about astrology from you, which I did quite a few years ago now. But I really spent some time in the book Lunar Wisdom that I was part of. And that really spent a lot of time on the moon and tides and how it affects. And I really love how you bring in that dimension of the age of astrology. It's like an incredibly
It's been
ancient.
around for years. Egyptians, Babylonian times, nothing. People knew that when eclipses were coming in the old days, it would mean significant changes on
Yes,
the earth.
yes,
They knew
exactly.
that,
Do you
you
think it's
know.
accessible for everyday people, astrology?
I think once you understand your own chart, then it is accessible because even if you're only just following the moon sign, the moon changes signs every 2.5 days.
Yes.
So when it goes into a new moon cycle, for example, when the moon is in Gemini, it's really good to be talking, working with communication.
Yeah.
Well, the moon today is in the sign of Virgo, but it has just shifted signs. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so there is communication there. And we are talking about a healing modality, and healing is ruled by Virgo.
Oh wow, that's so fantastic to hear because I really have an affinity for the Virgo sign. I don't I always think of Virgo as kind of being the dreamer, but that's I think everyone has a personal sort of relationship to different signs. Do you think that I just want to bring up your books here? We have your astrological health and self heal,
Learn
and
to self heal. Yeah.
yes, learn to self heal, and you talk a lot. Tell us a little bit about medical astrology, birth charts, areas of vulnerability. Tell us your description for your astrological health. Tell us about that.
Okay, so your astrological health won second on the Global Book Awards last year, and Learn to Self Heal won third, which I thought was great considering it's the first time I entered my books in any kind of
How
competition
exciting.
whatsoever.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. When okay, medical astrology, your astrology chart is your GPS or it's your blueprint of life, and that includes medical, romantic, when to get a job, when to buy a house, when to have children, the works. It's all there within the 12 houses of life, okay? And reflected in the 10 planets of who you are and what we embody. Okay, so in saying that, the chart can guide and direct you. So if we bring it back to medical astrology, I like to see it as a SWOT. When I studied commerce and accounting for a long, long time. A very strong Scorpio Capricorn in my chart. So naturally, finance was something I was drawn to, but not ended up being my path. But that's not the point. I did study finance for a very long time. And in finance, they've got something called the SWOT analysis. That's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and strengths. SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Sorry, I knew I said the S twice. The strengths is where you are strongest in the chart. Okay, so we all have our points where we are specialized and skilled, and these are the things that help us to attain our spiritual path and do what we're here to do in a way that no one else can do it.
Yes, I love that.
Okay,
Everyone's got a strength, right? Everyone's got something.
yeah, our weaknesses is what we don't do well. So I generally say to somebody who's a strong Aries, for example, they're really good at initiating and being important and being in charge and independent, but they're not very good at paying the bills and following up on that side of things. So I say to people that are strong in Aries and they're going into business, I'll say you'll do very, very well, but get a Capricorn or a Taurus or a Virgo to do your books because you're going to be needing somebody to take care of the accounting side. It doesn't take away their strength, but knowing that it's not their strength means that they have the information to know that they are going to need assistance,
Yes, that's
especially
right.
if you're building a business. Yeah. So then you've got your opportunity, and the same in the body. We have our weaknesses. And it's usually where our sun, moon, Saturn, and the ascendant ruler are placed, although not always. There are 10 planets in the chart, and if you're looking at 100% then the sun, everybody knows their sun sign. That's 10% of who you are. You are your chart. You are not your sun sign or your moon sign as it is in Vedic astrology. They are very strong drivers because the sun and the moon drives your physical, your mental, and your emotional and spiritual health. And therefore, they are connected. And I talk about that in my first book, Learn to Self-Heal. But these are the places where you normally have weaknesses, and the planets move like your chart moves. So, which is why I usually recommend people have a session round about their birthday, so they can have a solar return, which is a reflection of the energy for the following year, so they know where to focus.
Yeah.
And any other time that they're feeling confused because their personal chart moves as well as the transits in the sky. So we have our chart from birth, but as we age, everything moves. So we move from, let's just say, we move from a Scorpio sun at birth, and then by the time you choose to pass, and let's just say it's at 90, then you move from a Scorpio sun into a Sagittarius sun, into a Capricorn sun. You may even get into an Aquarian sun by progression,
Yes.
which gives you a different outlook. Your birth chart is always the mainstay, but everything is happening around that influences the chart. So,
Yes.
strengths, weaknesses, your opportunities come through the right timing when planets like Jupiter, which is the planet of good fortune, and opportunity, when it hits your chart at a favorable time, then opportunities will strike. I'll give you an example very quickly. Last year, when I was thinking about putting my books in for this Global Book Award, the planet of good luck and prosperity was going through my house of career and recognition, my 10th house. And I thought to myself, well, never occurred to me to put my books in before, but I just thought, if ever I was going to win, it was going to be this time.
Yeah.
So I put them in and I completely forgot about it. And I went overseas and I got an email saying, oh, you have won second and third. Both your books have won second and third in the alternative medicine category. And I just went, oh my God, there's an example of Jupiter in the 10th house giving me favor around my career.
Yeah. So your
Very
book,
quick example.
like again, it's so wonderful to receive recognition, and the book offers practical remedies, nutrition, herbs, color therapy, lifestyle shifts. So obviously, consulting comes first, and then
Yes.
if you're interested in ways to learn about how astrology does affect your health, then the book Your Astrological Health is a really good place to start because it does sort of give you a really good overview, and you're able to look via your star sign how these sorts of things can affect you. And it must have taken a lot of research for you to get to that.
Well, it did. But the funny thing was, when I started my healing journey, obviously I went down nursing for 30 plus years, and then I fell into energetic healing for several years, and then massage, and then Ayurveda for 10 years, and then color therapy. It was never my intention to write a book.
Yeah.
Never. I'm dyslexic. I have problems with words. You wouldn't know it with me yabbering. But I've always had an issue trying to express my voice from a very, very young age.
Yeah.
That goes back to other stuff which I've dealt with. But when the books and the books only came together as a product of my own journey.
Yes. They're so beautiful and colorful. And it really sounds to me like there was a place in the market for them.
Mm.
So you teach planetary movements, the influence, energy
Yep.
shifts, so
I
that you can
teach.
support healing and decision making, transitions, etc. What are the skills that you can teach listeners, for example, for any planetary alignments?
I go whatever you want to know.
Yeah, yeah,
It's that simple. I teach basic astrology 101 to 102. If
yes,
you want to be an astrologer, you need those two levels before you can go out and do astrology. I have got a lot of, proud to say, I've got a lot of kids out there. Anybody who studies with me, I call them my kids. I've got a lot of kids out there doing astrology now. If
Yes,
you're a bit more advanced, you can go into medical astrology. I teach that as well, 101 and also level two. I also teach something called You and Your Planets. And these are for people who don't want to be astrologers, but
yes,
actually, because I used to get that. They'd say, have you got something where I can learn about myself, but I don't want to be an astrologer? And
yes,
this was the course that you took, Kath.
yes,
So it's an 8-week course online where you can look at your own chart and understand yourself.
yes. I think
We don't do,
sorry,
yeah,
I didn't I love the idea of presenting from a skills point of view astrology, but I think that I use it to help me to understand rather than to be
yes.
an astrologer myself. I'm not like very ethereal, and I don't have as solid a medical background as you do, but that's not
And
the
for
reason. I'm like born on January 1st, so I feel so rigid. So astrology really does
Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, very rigid.
changes
And
that.
yet, and yet Saturn is what you need also for structure and for success through hard work and discipline and foundations. And because without it, nothing in life can succeed.
Yeah.
But can I just go back to those books for a minute? Anybody who buys the books, and you can get them either through my website, ChristinaRichterAuthor.com, or you can go to White Light Publishing based in Australia, or you can go to Amazon or amazon.co.au, any of these places. Anybody who purchased my book and they send me a email saying that they've purchased it, they get a free chart
Wow, that's an
because the
amazing
book
offer.
the book is geared not only for you to look at the date that you were born, but also your ascendant and your moon sign. So that's 30% of your chart that you can get information from the book on how to maintain your health.
Yes. And it's a lot. I read your book and I had so many amazing takeaways that reflected on the Capricorn relationship to bones and things, which
Yes.
is my downfall. I am 100% healthy, but I have all these, I know now calcium, it's a really big thing. Anything that's going to prolong the longevity of my
Vitamin D
bones and vitamin D.
and vitamin D.
Yes.
Little thing on calcium and vitamin D. You can get vitamin D from the sun, which is absolutely fantastic, but calcium gets into the bone through the vitamin D catalyst.
Okay.
So, if you do not have enough vitamin D in your body, calcium goes into the blood and doesn't go into the bone, which is where you can get weak bones when you get older or for any other time for that matter.
Yeah.
And in my personal opinion, if your vitamin D is where it should be, and I don't mean doctor's level, I mean good levels, then there is no reason why elderly people should fall and break their bones.
Yeah.
Age has got nothing to do with it. It
Yeah.
is the lack of vitamin D not being able to carry the calcium. And if the calcium goes into your blood, you end up getting kidney stones.
There's a lot of talk about inflammation, I feel, these
Oh,
days.
that's my other pet subject.
Everybody seems to have an issue with inflammation in the body.
Yeah, inflammation is a big one. But then I teach people what to be asking their doctors. There
Yeah,
are certain blood tests that you can get that can indicate how much inflammation you've got in your body. And if you know what they are, then you can modify your life through natural means. And sure, if you want to go down the road of medication, it is a option, but not the only one. But if you know that you've got a high inflammation marker, say through your CRP, which is the inflammation indicator, and it's a blood test that in New Zealand doesn't cost anything, then you can work with your diet to bring that inflammation marker down, like no carbs, no biscuits, cut back on the ice cream and the alcohol. You can consciously design a life plan, or I can do one for you, where you can actually bring your inflammation down because inflammation is what brings cancer.
that's such
It's
good
what
information.
brings diabetes. It is what brings nearly all diseases of some description.
My last question for you was, which you've just answered, what is one key takeaway about self-healing? But it does sound like inflammation and cancer is a really big thing for the world, I feel now. So it's really good and really important to learn any way that you can channel a way to be healthier that's more personalized, especially if you're sort
Yes.
of a spiritual nature and you take all the other things seriously, like you would be taking so many other pathways to spirituality, and astrology is just one of those. And so to be able to find health through astrology is such a really beautiful gift that you could give to yourself. Um, so you've told us how we can get in touch with your
Yep.
books. And have you told us how we could book in if we wanted to have a consult with you?
Um, you want to consult with me? Doesn't matter if you're overseas. I accept PayPal. You can contact me on CR Scorpio 1111, the digits, at gmail.com. So
And you
that is CR Scorpio 1111. My birthday is 11/11, so that's easy to remember, at gmail.com. But I want to mention just one more thing about how I define what health is. I define health with the acronym AIR, AIR. We need air to breathe, and air is our last exhale. So it's our first in breath and our last exit breath. A stands for awareness, and you can get awareness of the self through Ayurveda and astrology and any other healing modality that you want to go down to. But I find astrology to be personalized, providing you have your time of birth, to be personalized to the self. No two charts are the same, not even twins. Air, I is to do with information, having the right information for your body type, for your personal blueprint. Yeah. Um, if knowing that there are certain foods that your body is not going to accept, and as a result of that will cause internal toxins,
mm,
things like that. And R is for the responsibility that you take as a spiritual energy, choosing a physical body to have physical lessons
mm. So
through the spiritual realm on this planet.
you have to look after your body.
So that's your personal responsibility.
Yes.
It's not responsibility of your husband or your wife. It is your personal responsibility to have what you want, how you want it. I always say that you need to create the life you want to live, and that is the same with your health. I'm 66 this year, and I actually feel healthier than what I was at 26.
Yes. Yes. That's amazing.
So it is
Congratulations.
and this is why I'm saying, I have this thing where there's no need to become unwell when you get older, and I'm on the move to be as healthy as I can as I age.
Yes.
Age is not going to be a factor where it keeps you in a box because you're sick.
And I think, I mean, you live in such a beautiful place. New Zealand is a stunning place, and I think that they have the air and the beautiful serenity of that environment. I think is going to keep you
There's a
young.
lot of lovely places here, but then again, I've traveled the world and there's always startling places wherever you go. Where are you based, Kath?
Australia. I'm in Melbourne. Yes.
Oh, well, I love Melbourne.
Yes.
I just
Go Melbourne.
absolutely love Melbourne. I lived in Sydney for 30 years or something, but Melbourne was my go-to.
Yes.
I
I'm so
just found that
looking.
the people and the weather, and to me, Melbourne is more like New Zealand
Yes,
in
I can see that.
on a lot of levels, and you've
Yeah.
probably heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I was just going to say, look, I always, every time I speak to you, I really look forward to an opportunity to meet you in person. I think that would be amazing. I've mentioned the markets that you do because I always look on at those and go, oh, everyone has
Well,
bucket
let's just wait.
list.
We can always do something internationally. Internationally, let's just wait till this petrol crisis is over.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much for coming on and speaking to me on my podcast. We're loving the opportunity to speak to people that have created such an opportunity for me, like you have done with your astrology courses and all the things that you do. I'm forever catching up with the way that you present astrology, and of course, your amazing award-winning books. Thank you very much for coming on and speaking with me today.
And just one last thing. If you would like the book via a download like Kindle, you can get that through White Light Publishing, and they're based in Western Australia.
Yes, that's right.
And it's always a pleasure to talk with you, Kath, and thank you very much for inviting me to speak. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Christina. I can't wait to talk again soon.
Namaste.